Yes, that's right. Gotta love fireplace, thunder and lightning outside. I thought we'd have a little fireplace chat, old school Theodore Roosevelt style, right? Anyways, let's go over a couple of things. Am my eyes deceiving me? Is this right? Is there an article out there saying that we finally have Iraq is heading towards a floating rate? This can't be. When I found out about this, I almost lost my boop boop. Okay, so nonetheless, hat tip to the Dinarian, his web post again. His link to his blog is always in my description for those of you who are interested in coming to check out the Dinarian. He's always got some great news in here, right? Along with 50 billion other things. I'm jealous of his website, by the way. He kicks ass on it. There's all kinds of loving things on here that I like, especially when it comes to gold and silver. Nonetheless, let's get back up here to the article so I don't get sidetracked. So, former minister, Iraq dinar on the way to float. This is something we've been talking about when I was on the other YouTube channel. We want the Iraqi dinar to float. Yes, we do. Now, although this article says for the purpose of reducing its value, that's not the case. Okay, so the former minister, let's just go with Abdul Jabbar, confirmed today, Wednesday, that the Iraq dinar is on the way to floating in light of a sharp decline in oil prices, while noting that employees should expect that during the coming days, their salary will be deducted. Okay, first of all, that's just screwed. But second of all, this is good news, believe it or not. And I'm not talking about how the dinar is going to lower in rate. That's what it goes on here. Look at this. The Iraq dinar is on its way to float, i.e. reduce its value. Two things. Right now, the Iraqi dinar is pegged. That's a fixed exchange rate against the US dollar. We have been saying since I was on the other YouTube channel, please, Lord, let the Iraqi dinar float. Because if it floats, then what determines its value is going to be based on supply and demand and market. So a floating exchange rate, the value of a country's currency changes based on market forces. This is good. So as Iraq gets their crap together, and the better they do, the more valuable the currency becomes. And it automatically changes. The rate does, okay? We want this. We've been saying this for a long time. We need them to unpeg from the US dollar, which is a fixed exchange rate, which is manipulated by the government. And we wanted him to go into a floating exchange rate. He's trying to say, look right here at his lips. Floating. That or he just looks like a living zombie. Nonetheless, we wanted to go into a floating exchange rate. Go back to the article real quick. Now, in here it says that the Iraqi dinar is on the way to a float. Please, I hope it is. Because just like that, overnight, it could jump up in value, okay? The Iraq government may have to increase the exchange rate. Now, when they say increase, I mean that's misleading. The rate of the dollar to 1,250 dinars. So, okay, so it's increasing. What's increasing is the amount of dinars you could buy for $1. Now, it's almost like what I say about cryptocurrencies, the same that I say about gold and silver, the same that I say about stock. Okay, this is just my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial lawyer of any kind. Again, I'm just sharing my opinion. Always buy on the dip. If the rate changes and you could buy now 1,200 instead of 1,190 dinars for $1, and you can now buy 1,250, and they're going down here to say anywhere between 1,300 and 1,350 dinars. You know, I'm kind of half-assed tempted to just jump in and grab another $500,000 worth just to add to my collection. Because if they move to a float, this is what we've been wanting for a long time. Not a dirty float, which is a managed float. Okay, but we want a free float. This is what this is, a float. We want this. I know this article looks like bad news, and they're talking about lowering the value, but we want so bad for them to unpeg from the US dollar and go to a straight float. If we get this, you'd be surprised what will happen to the dinar once the government is established. Okay, once they're stable and there's no more protesting, the dinar would just keep going up and up and up. Okay, we wanted this to happen. Okay, we really do. The float will cause the price of commodities to rise and burden the citizens. The state may use it to reduce the budget deficit. See, okay, again, though, we all know that Iraq is one of the wealthiest nations in the world. Please stay on afloat. Please move to afloat. We want this to happen. We want this to go to afloat. This would be based on supply and demand. As oil prices go up, guess what's going to happen to the Iraqi dinar? Oh, I hear a couple of people out there in the audience say it. Yes, it's going to go up. Good job. You and you over there. Good job. Yes, I heard you. Okay, so the value of the dinar is going to go up if oil prices go up. If they start mining for gold, what's going to happen? The value is going to go up. If outside investors start coming in and employing people, what's going to happen? The value of the dinar is going to go up. Okay, we want it to go on a float. Okay, the float allows it to just move based on market movement. I prefer it to be on a float, not a managed float, but a float, then pegged to the US dollar. It's time for the currency to start jumping up and down. All right, so let's hope that they do this. Let's hope that they make this happen. A lot of people are going, oh my God, Pimpy, did you see this? If they move to a float, it's going to change. I'm like, no, what do you mean? Where does this article? Somebody said the Dinarian posted. I'm like, oh, this guy, I should know better. He always has all the good articles. Anyways, I come over here and I read this. I go, why do they make this look so doom and gloom? Okay, I will leave a link to this particular article, but I do have a link to the Dinarian's blog. You guys should go there anytime. He always has good articles. Okay, along with a bunch of other fun toys that you can see in here. Okay, so a float would be good for us, believe it or not. We've been waiting for this to happen. We need him to float. What you really want him to do is just sell as many of their foreign currencies as possible, start buying back more of their own currency, destroying more of their own currency, depleting the supply that is out there, which they did a lot of that. Now, people were asking me about the soldier story. Yeah, I mean, there's no way to confirm it. I can only tell you what I heard in passing. And he said when they were logging into dinars, during the time that they were buying them back, they were keeping a log. They were up to 19 trillion is what he said in his log before he left. And they were still going after he left. They had destroyed. They were burning. He said the log was up to 19 trillion by the time he left. So there's no way of knowing. There's no way of validating that. That's why I just told the story that it was in passing. I was ear hustling this guy. He don't know me. I don't know him. I was listening to him tell a story about why they were guarding poppy seeds over in Afghanistan. That's when I just put my 2 cents in there. And I said, yeah, that's the CIA. They made a move on the heroin distribution. And we went from making less than 0.5% of the world's production of heroin to, after we went into the Afghan war, to making 99.8% of the world's heroin production. And we guard the poppy fields over in Afghanistan. So I threw my 2 cents in there, and he just was randomly talking about different things that were he's seen on duties that he had when he's overseas. They had him go back and forth between Iraq and Afghanistan. And one of the tours that he had in Iraq was it was his job, along with other people, to guard the currencies, to help the banks, to guard the banks while they destroyed currencies. And he said they had to keep a log because of all the serial numbers of the dinars that were destroyed. Okay, and I was like, oh man, when I heard that, now again, he don't know me, I don't know him. When I heard that, I said, really? I just played off. I just said, that seems weird. How much did they destroy? He says, I don't know. But by the time he had left, he said there was 19 trillion dinars had been destroyed. Of course, right away, man, I was like, yes. Okay, so anyways, is that provable? I have no way to prove it. I only shared this story because I heard it in passing. It's not provable. I can only take his word for it. There's no reason for him to lie to me. He didn't know me. I was just ear hustling him at the bar when I was hanging out with my friend. I thought it was a good story and I shared it with everybody. So, but let's hope that that's true. Because if that's the case, at the bare minimum, 19 trillion of those 51 trillion dinars were destroyed. We also know that the United States is holding on to another bulk of that, as well as a lot of other central banks around the world. Okay? Anyways, I saw this article. I just thought people are asking me, oh, this is bad news. No, I would love for the Iraqi dinar to start floating and unpeg itself from the US dollar. This would be a great move. I would love for this to happen. We wanted this to happen, all right? So the market would determine the value of the Iraqi dinar. Hell yes, we want this. Trust me, okay? I know this article looks like it's bad news, but I promise you it's not. Okay, so let me enjoy my little fireplace here, because heck, let's kick back. Anyways, listen, here's the deal, people. The U.S. it's been pegged to the U.S. dollar now since, I believe, when they signed whatever agreement they signed. I can't remember. I think it was the Paris Accord. The IMF agreed to come over and handle the monetary policies for Iraq, or they would give them the monetary policies. And I told you what Dr. Shibibi said about the policies that were given to them by the World Bank and the IMF. They said it was great at controlling inflation, and it did that. The inflation for Iraq is somewhere between 1.5% and 2%. It's very low and very manageable. But he also said that it did not allow them, Iraqi people, to expand, to grow economically because of the devalued currency, and that the rate needed to increase so that they could start developing. That was Dr. Shabibi's issue. All right, let's hope and pray that somehow, some way, he becomes the new PM, because I think he would have no problems with pulling the trigger on that bad boy, making it happen. Now, I did follow up, and I did find out that Iraq is not under sanctions no more. They can change the rate. While they can't change the rate, I think what we're waiting for is the United Nations to move them out of Chapter 7 into Chapter 8, recognize their currency internationally, so that it could really, it would add a lot of value to the Iraqi dinar for them to be able to start doing business on a more international level. It really would. But we really need them to get their crap together over there. We need their government to get established. We need stability in there. We need the protesters to stop protesting. We need to put them all to work. We need them to start paying taxes. Okay, I showed you guys that article from 2008 or 2019 that just last year, where the APN was encouraging people to start investing in the Iraqi dinar. But back then, they were starting to get their you-know-what together, all right? So we need that again. We really do. But having said that, there is an article that some missiles were fired from Iran. Now, whether you believe in the so-called deep state or Illuminati or New World Order or globalists, whatever you want to call them this. But we know that John Kerry and Obama have been fighting hard against the Trump administration. And John Kerry is married and is married to an Iranian woman who's connected to the government. And we know they like the status quo. They like the globalist movement. They were able to run proxy wars, and they're able to run willy-nilly, and Obama sent them billions of dollars. And they use that money to fund terrorists over there and just do what they did, all right? So it's not surprising that Iran, as stupid as they are, with all the leaders fighting the coronavirus, for some stupid reason, knowing that we could whip their butt in 2 weeks in the war without ever having to stick boots on the ground. For some reason, launched 15 missiles into Iraq, killed a British and 2 American citizens. We know that Trump is not going to idly sit back. The punishment is going to be swift and accurate. Trust me when I say this. The whole purpose of this is to pull us into the war so they could go, Trump broke a promise. Trump is doing another war. Yeah, I know you people out there, Democratic supporters. Sorry, I'm not a fan of the Democrats anymore. I was a strategist for 2 years. That is not my Democratic Party anymore. They are corrupt. They have been corrupted. And they have been for some time. But not just them, so were the Republicans. Under the Bush administration, the Democrats under the Clinton and Obama administration, they have created one of the largest crime syndicates of our time. And they built it within our government and our intelligence agencies. This is not cool. Now, I bring that up because now that Iran has shot missiles over and has killed 2 American and a British citizen, this could, yeah, I know you're not going to like this. This might cause another excuse or delay in the dinar rate being changed. Now, I'm not making that excuse. I'm still holding out that it does happen sometime in the end of March, hopefully the beginning of April. But now you're talking about another issue that will drive down the value of the stock market. They're overhyping the coronavirus. Don't get me wrong, it is serious, but come on. 1,000 people died of Ebola in the United States before they called it a national emergency under the Obama administration. There's only less than 300 cases of deaths from the coronavirus worldwide, and they're already calling it a pandemic. Give me a break. Come on, man. It's driving the market down. This is just another ploy, in my opinion, of this so-called deep state, or call them whatever you want to call them. All right? They want things to go back to the way it was. They want this huge criminal enterprise to strive like it was before. That's changing under the Trump administration, whether you believe it or not. All right? I know I try not to make these political, but when I found out today that Iran had bombed, why the hell in anybody's wildest dreams would you want to entice Trump, who has made it a habit, to make being a terrorist leader a bad job position? In case you didn't notice, he killed yet another ISIS leader out of Yemen, I believe it was. That's right. That's like his 7th terrorist leader he's killed under his administration. They don't talk about it much in the news because they don't want to give him too much credit because it makes him look too good. How people were happy when Obama bin Laden was killed. People were happy when, Saddam Hussein was killed. You know what I mean? They're happy. Presidents are happy to just get one. Trump's got 7 terrorist leaders wiped out. It's unheard of. So you think he's going to let this strike go unpunished? You're sadly mistaken. So this is going to be interesting. It is my understanding that these missiles came from Iran. They're still pushing a hole. Soleimani is the reason. Yeah, well, this next strike's going to be quick and vicious. All right, but anyways, let's just keep our fingers crossed that doesn't interfere with what's going on in Iraq. All right, let's hope that they get the government in there, get them in there quickly, get them in there swiftly. Let's get them in there before the end of this month. Let's do what we need to do to pass this budget. Let's go ahead and move the Iraqi dinar into the float. If you agree that we should move the Iraqi dinar into a float, hit the like button and leave a comment. Trust me, we want it to be floaty. We want it unpegged from the US dollar, all right? Anyways, I hope you guys got a kick out of my little fireside chat here, okay? Yeah, a lot of you had sent me the article. I saw it. It is not a bad thing. I know the article looks doom and gloom, but like I always said before, buy on the dip. Right now, keep an eye on cryptocurrencies. They just keep dropping. It is terrible. Like 30% of my value is gone. That's fine. I really am not panicking. You only lose if you sell. As soon as that sucker, trust me, the coronavirus is not going to be an issue here in a couple of weeks. People are going to have it all taken care of. It's all going to be done and dealt with here. Give it a month or two, and the markets are going to swing right back up and then some, okay? And if that's the case and you happen to have been into the cryptocurrency market, or you have some stocks, or you have some gold and silver, this is the time, all right? Anyways, let me know what you think. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Look, if you think we should move to a floating exchange rate, smash the like button. Let me know in the comments, all right? Y'all have a good one.